You're welcome back to the Gavel. In 2016, President Buhari sent 2 executive bills to the National Assembly for passage. They are the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Bill and the Mutual Legal Assistance in Criminal Matters Bill. We had an interview with the Chairman, House of Representatives Committee on Financial Crime, Honorable Kayode Oladele, to find out the status of these bills in the lower chamber.
Let me say that, yes, the bills have been about a year, not more than a year. But right now in the National Assembly, I would say in the House of Representatives, the bills have been read. One of them has been read for the first time. The second one, we are looking at it because of some of the inadequacies that we discovered, which would prevent the bill from scaling through the second reading as well as the committee stage. And that is the Mutual Legal Assistance. The Mutual Legal Assistance Bill has gone through the first reading and very soon it will be presented to the House for the second reading. The Money Laundering Bill is an amendment, it's a holistic bill, not an amendment bill. And that will mean that the current one that we are using right now will be repealed entirely. And in order to do that, we have to look at the implications to Nigeria, because these bills are not just bills that would be used for us alone in Nigeria. We belong to several organizations outside of Nigeria, and they would like to look at this bill and see whether it complies with the standards that those organizations have set. So we are looking at the 2 bills. We met about April this year. We met with the Minister of Justice from the Attorney General's office to take a critical look at the money laundering bill that they have, and we told them that it contains a lot of inadequacies, and looking at it, the House or the National Assembly will be inclined to decline it, and we don't want to decline it. We want to look at it and see the areas that we feel we can amend or at least adjust so that it will comply with the international standard. Apart from that, the bill itself made references to a lot of laws and enactments that are not in operation in Nigeria. They are not in existence in Nigeria. And that's a fundamental error. For instance, we are looking at the bill is referring to Financial Intelligence Center. There's nothing like Financial Intelligence Center in Nigeria. It's talking about Financial Intelligence Act. There's nothing like that in Nigeria, and several other things, other laws like that. So if we pass it as it were, then one, it will affect the NFIU, the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, which is currently being housed within the EFCC, because it's assuming that Nigeria has a Financial Intelligence Center, not a unit under a parent organization. So, and also it's assuming that we have a Nigerian Financial Intelligence Act, not EFCC, because it is within the EFCC that the current NFIU is built. The EFCC Act that the current NFIU is built. So if we pass it the way it is, it's going to create a lot of confusion, and we don't want that to happen.
In your engagement with the Attorney General, what has been the level of success? Because I say this because this present administration is putting a lot of emphasis and focus on the war on anti-corruption, on anti-corruption fight. Yes. And this is a major bill which is supposed to support this fight. Yes. So almost a year has gone by. What has been the level of engagement? Let
me just tell you frankly speaking, to start with, do we need any money laundering bill right now? The answer is no. We don't need it.
Why?
Because the one we have currently is very adequate. Very, very adequate. There's nothing wrong with it. As a matter of fact, the GIABA, the interministerial body that's in the West African sub-region, they wrote to us and told us that, why do we have to repeal what you have now? It is under the current law that Nigeria was removed from the grey list of non-compliant nations to a compliant nation. And today, we are a member of the Egmont Group, where we have just put in our application to join the Financial Action Task Force. And all these organizations, they don't have any problem with the current money laundering bill we have, which is just about 4 years old anyway. So
But the president, when he sent those bills, he said, particularly for the case of the money laundering bill, I know one of the aims of passing this bill, of presenting this bill, is that it was intended to expand the scope of operation of the EFCC and the ICPC and to widen the scope of money laundering offences. Is this not important?
Let me tell you something. As I said earlier on, there's nothing there that suggests everything you just read to me. Nothing there. As a matter of fact, we have said it repeatedly that the bill is even more porous than what we have in place. Because if we pass the bill, it makes, for instance, let me give you one of the bill. It makes a reasonable excuse pardonable if you commit a money laundering offense. For instance, you are arrested for money laundering, and then you say you have a reasonable excuse for engaging in money laundering. Then that reasonable excuse is pardonable under the law. Then if we allow that to happen, everybody will bring in an excuse that will be reasonable. Who determines the level of reasonability? So I would say this without mentioning was that this bill was something that came up from another interministerial agency or body that was set up under the last administration. But when this administration came into power, they did not look at the critical areas. All they did was just to look at it and say, wow, it will expand our war against corruption. But in actual fact, it will model up the war against corruption if we pass that. I can tell you this. Just last month, my committee, the House Committee on Financial Crimes met. We secured the assistance of the EU, the UNDP, UNODC, and we had a retreat, a 4-day retreat in Cross River State to discuss the implications of the money laundering bill, as well as the mutual legal assistance bill. And everybody applauded the mutual legal assistance bill, but the money laundering bill, of course, they came up against it and said there's no need. Even all the experts that spoke, they looked at it and they said there's no need because it will further worsen our efforts.
Now, the mutual legal assistance bill, which is basically seeking assistance from the international community to fight corruption. Yes. Does your committee have a problem with this bill?
No, we don't have any problem. Even when we had this retreat in Cross River State, we all applauded it, and I was given a mandate to ensure that the bill is passed ASAP. And this is because Nigeria applied to join the Financial Action Task Force, which is an international intergovernmental interministerial body regulating money laundering as well as terrorism financing. They have their headquarters in France. Nigeria first applied in 2014, but because of the lack of political will at the time, there was no follow-up. And this year, in February, the current administration reapplied again. And I was at the plenary in February. I was at the plenary in October this year to follow up with Nigeria's application. And part of the things they told us was that some laws actually have to come has to be passed. And part of the law is this mutual legal assistance. So as well as process of crime bill and whistleblowers bill. So these are bills, these are laws they feel we should have in place so that it should enhance our regime, our anti-money laundering as well as terrorism financing, anti-terrorism financing regime. So we are working on all of these bills. We looked at the provisions of the mutual legal assistance, because definitely mutual legal assistance bill is a very, very important bill. Yeah. As an international lawyer, I know very well that if you want another country to help you in recovering some of the process of crime abroad, the first thing they look at is whether that same country has a treaty, mutual legal assistance treaty with you, with your country. And then once you don't have it, it becomes very difficult to be able to repatriate those processes of crime.
This is where we call it a day on this week's edition of The Gavel. If you have any views on any of the issues discussed, please email us on thegavel@channelstv.com. Thank you for staying with us and see you again next week.